You mentioned too, you like music and stuff too. Who's maybe some of your favorite artists you like to listen to? But behind it, you got your UFC stuff. I mean, talk us a little bit more about your memorabilia and what you're able to like kind of keep and stuff from your fights.
Yeah, I got a bunch of
There
so
you
like
go.
so
What was it kind of like to fight Martinez and those leg kicks and stuff?
we got together and started talking about like some fight emotion stuff, and
And
we could
with that being said, what's maybe one of your worst injuries that you sustained from fighting?
oh dude.
All right, guys, this is Crazy Kev here, and I'm here with Vince Morales. Vince, how we doing?
Doing good, man. Good morning.
Good morning, man. And Vince, man, you just had a fight not too long ago. Talk to us a little bit more about that performance and what's next for you, man.
Yeah, so that was tough enough 137. You can still find that on UFC Fight Pass. Went well, got another win. It's my fourth one since I got released last January from the UFC. This one was actually in front of Sean Shelby and some of the UFC brass and stuff. So I think I made a good impression. Hoping that means I can get right back in. I think my topology's got me updated as like the number one bantamweight in the nation that's not in the UFC. So I think that looks good. I'm just trying to. Management's got me waiting around, hoping some short notice thing pops up, and then I'm taking that spot.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. And with that being said, I mean, how do you kind of like preparing for a short notice fight? I mean, like, what's kind of like your weight going to be like, and kind of the camp and all that kind of stuff too.
Right. I'm not the biggest 35er, so I don't blow up too much in between fights. Um, like right now I'm actually the heaviest I've been in a bit, and I'm only 150, 152. So it doesn't leave me in too bad of a spot. I could drop that pretty quick. I usually start fight weeks at 152, so yeah, I figured it out. Wouldn't be the easiest thing in the world, but I'd figure it out. And then camp, I'm like always in camp. I got back from Japan from my fight in Ryzen, and I didn't stop training at all because I was hoping that one was good enough to get me back in. But yeah, here we are.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And yeah, speaking about competing in Japan, I mean, talk to us a little bit more about that arena, man, and yeah, what it was kind of like to compete over there.
That dude, the easiest way to say that, it was just epic. That was like a dream come true. Really, I couldn't believe it. The crowd was amazing. I think it sold out 20. Well, I can't. They said like 25,000 people, something like that.
Wow.
And it was from beginning to end. So like the first fight on, the seats were filled, and it was nuts. It was really quiet there. That was one thing I definitely noticed. Like even in the fight, like there's not a lot of like I can clearly hear each corner. Can't understand my opponent's corner, but like I could clearly hear them. And then something would happen, and the crowd would be like, "Oh!" and then they start clapping, and then it's back to silent. Like that was insane. That was easily, I think, one of the top experiences of my MMA career so far.
That's awesome. And did you do any sort of sightseeing and stuff as well too in Japan?
Oh yeah, I was there for almost a month and a half training with Kai Sakura, and he's the best host. He's the best person I think I've ever met. Really, he showed us around. He made sure we were taken care of on a regular basis. Got to walk around and go explore things. Got to get real familiar with the train system, which was super smooth and awesome. I don't know how they got that thing figured out, but that's the most convenient way of traveling if you don't have a car. I mean, it's insane. It was really great too. My fiance got to come out, who is Japanese and was born there. She got to come out for the last like 10 days or so, and she got to show me around a little bit, which was super cool. Yeah, man, just that whole trip from beginning to end was way more than I could have asked for.
What was maybe your favorite thing that you saw in Japan?
Oh, my favorite thing. Dude, there were so many. It had to be the Saitama Super Arena, dude. That was epic, dude. It
Oh yeah.
was insane. We went there for there's this event that Kai puts on called Breaking Down. It's have you seen that? It's like minute long fights.
No, I haven't actually.
It's crazy. I think it's like the future of MMA. Like
Okay.
yeah, like I said, it's just 1 minute fights. People go in there, they go berserk, and if there's no winner at the end of that minute, they fight for another minute. And
Oh,
dude, that was nuts. But anyways, they held that at the arena as well. So we got to go check that out before even fighting there. And just looking at it from the outside and then getting inside, it was mind blowing.
Yeah, yeah, no, that definitely sounds like it, man. And another thing too, I'm curious about as well too. Not trying to snoop around, but behind you got your UFC stuff. I mean, talk us a little bit more about your memorabilia and what you're able to like kind of keep and stuff from your fights.
Yeah, I got a bunch of posters. I think the majority of my gloves. I think I've sold a few. I got a few things up on Millions, millions.co. But
Okay.
yeah, I got posters on this side as well that you can't see. My cousin Ricky hates this one. We both fought on that card. We both lost on that card. So like, it's like it's crap. But it's got his picture on there. So I don't know. I love it. So I make sure that one stays up. Yeah, this is we set up this office when Ricky comes through. We run a podcast out of here and stuff, and yeah, this is like my favorite room in the house right now.
I love it. I love it. So after you're done your fights, like how does it kind of work with like your gloves and your shorts? Like, are you just able to keep them for like no problem and stuff?
For the most part, in the UFC, we got to give one thing back that we wore out. So whether that be the jacket, the UFC jacket, the shirt, the gloves, or the shorts. So we got to give one thing back, and then we can keep the rest and sell those or frame them, do whatever we want.
Wow. Okay. So what do you typically give back to the UFC?
I usually give back my coach's jacket.
There
so
you
like,
go.
so I'm not in the UFC right now, so I don't have to worry about it. But like, no, like I said, normally they ask for one thing back, and by the time I'm leaving the cage, everything's already taken off and stuff. So my coach or something will pass me their jacket or one of my teammates or something, and I'll give that one back, and then I keep all my stuff.
There you go. That's smart. That's smart. I didn't know that. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's some good insight, man. And with your UFC run, man. I mean, if you look at your Tapology, getting back to that, I mean, you fought a bunch of beasts, man. I mean, Miles John's a guy like I think is going to be a problem, and a couple other studs as well too. I mean, how many more wins do you think it takes to finally get back in the UFC short notice, or just in general?
So Coach Wood was talking to Sean Shelby after my last fight, and he was saying I'm top of the list for short notice. So if something opens up at 35, I'm getting in. So we'll see. I've kind of had that in my head since last July. That was my second fight out of the UFC that I won. I'm double that now, so I'm hoping it just looks that much better. I don't know, man. I'd like to stay busy. I'd like to get in there sooner rather than later. I don't know. Yeah, I fought like a lot of the best guys. And I think Miles Johns fights this weekend too.
Yeah, he does.
I'm excited to see. Pretty much anybody I fight, win or lose, I want them to keep winning because that looks better for me one way or the other. So like, yeah, I fought a lot of good guys. I think Amon's been doing well. Song's doing well, of course. Gutierrez doing well. Jonathan Martinez, even though those two are coming off of like kind of tough losses, like they're top 15 and doing their thing. So I don't know. I'm not one to shy away from fights, and I think I took half those fights on short notice in the UFC too. I'm just always down to fight, really. So I think that old me in that first UFC run's a little, he's dead and gone. So I've been apologizing to the fans and stuff for not giving my all in there. I kind of focused on winning more so than just doing me, and I think that held me back a little bit. So once I am back, I think it's a different story.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely think it's going to be a different story because you're definitely been a problem on the regional scene as of recent. And getting back to your Jonathan Martinez bout, I mean, he obviously just fought Jose Aldo, and what was it kind of like to fight Martinez and those leg kicks and stuff?
He was difficult. I remember thinking going into the fight, thinking he was going to be pretty hittable, but like he gets out of the way those first two shots really good, and he's kind of deceptive with his range, and he kicks through checks. Like he doesn't care if you're going to check a kick, like he's going to blast through it. And I think one of them hit that nerve and it shut my leg off in that first round. So I had to fight through that. And I never saw there was a picture from that fight where my knee was just, it looked like I had two kneecaps. It blew up real bad. Yeah, that was kind of brutal, but I toughed it out, and I still think I won that third round, even though I think I only got it on one judge scorecard or something like that. But yeah, I tell myself whether or not it's true. Hopefully we get a chance to find out that in a rematch it's not going to be the same.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And do you think Jonathan Martinez was the hardest leg kicker you ever faced?
No, Gutierrez kicked harder.
Nice.
Gutierrez. Granted, that one was. I didn't want to say it. I remember the first kick that he landed in that fight. Like that was the first time. That was the first time I actually felt pain in a fight, and I was like, "Oh, that's different." So I remember trying to jump in and like trying to close the distance and get him, and I think he jabbed me right in my eye, and it actually fractured my orbital. So from the first few seconds on in that fight, I was seeing two of them like this, like they were kind of stacked up odd, and that was I just got kicked over and over and over. That was the most pain I'd ever been in a fight.
Wow. Okay. Wow. That definitely makes sense. And you mentioned as well too, like obviously, like a lot of fighters, they get nervous and stuff before the fight. What's maybe the most nerve-wracking part? Is it the walk? Is it being in the back? Talk to us a little bit more about that.
Mostly being in the back. Pretty much anything from the walk on, I love. Like I love the walk. I love getting in the cage. I like staring at my opponent across from me. Like all that stuff's fine. Definitely being in the back for me, anyways. Half the time, I'm like, why in the hell? Why do I do this? Like, like, oh, it's so stupid. But and then once I get going, dude, I'm pretty well good. But anything in the back, and usually that fight day is it's all over. It's a roller coaster of emotions. I always tell people for that whole fight week, we kind of go through like a year's worth of like regular people emotions just for that week. Just there's so many ups and downs. There's so many there's doubts. There's super confident moments. There's just a lot to really manage. And I think during that fight week, a lot of the real fighter, the real person comes out.
Yeah, no, definitely. I definitely agree with you there. And when it comes to like behind the scenes stuff, when you're like getting a fight booked and everything, I mean, talk to us a little bit more about like the medicals, the paperwork. What do you kind of have to do behind the scenes that like fight fans don't typically know about?
Oh, it's such a pain. Like for this last one, I had to go get all my medicals done. I think it cost me right around $1,000, just
Oh,
under.
wow.
Yeah, because I had to go get in depending on what state you fight in, there's different criteria. So for Nevada, we've got to get an MRI every 5 years of our brain. So I had to go do that, which is probably the most expensive thing. And then you got to get a physical every 12 months, depending on the state. Some of them do it every 6 months. Got to get blood work every 6 months to a year, again, depending on the state. And then there's always licensing fees. And thankfully, that's like the cheapest thing here in Nevada, where it's only $50 for you, $50 for cornerman. But I've been some places like back in Idaho where I did most of my fighting. Even as an amateur, it's $150 for you. It's $150 per corner. So that stuff can add up pretty quick over there.
Oh yeah, no, that definitely sounds like it, man. And yeah, with that being said, too, you mentioned a little bit earlier, you got like a little bit of a podcast going. I mean, talk to us a little bit more about like kind of how you got that running and how you enjoy doing that.
Yeah, so me and my cousin Ricky, we joked about it. Not even joked. We talked about doing a podcast. I don't know how many times, and finally, just one point. It was right before his fight with Jack Shore. We're like, dude, we got to get this thing up. So I literally grabbed I think I hooked up my cell phone to my computer or something, and he did as well. And we got together and started talking about like some fight emotion stuff, and we couldn't even think of a name. He wanted to call it Kissing Cousins, if you can believe that, little bastard. and then think we settled on a Just Cuz podcast since we're cousins. So I was like, okay, cool, that'll work. And then come to find out there's like 3 other Just Cuz podcasts. I was like, damn it. But we had already sold our soul to it and started filming it. So I don't know, maybe one of these days we'll go through a rebranding. But for now, it's a Just Cuz podcast. We got that on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, Apple, the works really. And we were doing them like every other week. We both stay real busy though. So now we do like, I don't know, once or twice a month. We try to get a good one out there.
Nice, nice. So what's maybe some of your favorite topics to kind of talk about on there?
Oh man, just for the last one we did, we were talking about like, because we've been on both ends of this where he's been winning and I'm coming off a loss, and then we get to talk about our perspectives on that, and then now it's flip-flopped. So we talked about that a little bit, and then we shut it off, and we were sitting here still talking, and then we had an even better extra podcast after the podcast that we didn't get to record, so that sucked. But I think the best thing about it is the insight that we both have that we can share with people, because that's the stuff that's really hard to get out of fighters, especially in interviews and pre-fight stuff. And like if most people only see us for that fight week, they're getting I don't want to say a different version, but they're getting a slightly different version of us because just of everything going on, and we have media things, so we get to kind of strip away all that and just deal with us and really get into some of the nitty gritty stuff that make us who we are. So that's what I really like. We've gotten some good feedback on it. We're still trying to get it out there and get it growing though.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. And when it comes to like people that interview and stuff, when it comes to like you were saying, maybe like questions and stuff to kind of ask, what would maybe be some like questions or maybe like topics you wish more interviewers kind of talk about, so then fighters can kind of grow a little bit more and kind of express themselves a little bit more, kind of like you mentioned.
Man, that's a good question. I feel like everybody has one or two that they really get into, and most of the time those ones are like hobbies, or what do you do outside of a fight, or like what kind of music you're into, or that kind of stuff. But for me, like, I'm a big music person. I like my video games, and I still watch my damn cartoons, dude. Like, I was just watching X-Men '97 before the fight, and I love that. So thankfully, like, most of the people that grew up around my age, for whatever reason, we were real into cartoons when we were young, and most of us still are now to a certain point. Like, so I'm happy about that.
That's awesome. Yeah. So with you being into cartoons, did you happen to be into comic books at all as well too?
Yeah. I had a box full of comic books when I was growing up. I didn't really get I didn't get too much into like collecting and keeping them pristine though. So I just had a mosh, just a box full of random comics, and I never had like consistent ones. Maybe here and there I had like X-Men Dark Phoenix and Dark Phoenix 2 or something, but yeah, I just had a big old big old mess of them.
Fair enough. Now, obviously with Ricky being your cousin, what's maybe some of your favorite memories when it comes to being around Ricky?
Oh man, my favorite one. I think we talk about this kind of, or not often, but like it gets brought up when we talk about memories. We we're He's from Washington, over Vancouver, Washington. I'm from a real small town in Oregon, and they used to come over. Him and his brothers and his mom used to all come over and visit me and my brothers and my mom in Ontario. And one day, it was right after it rained. We went to the park. We were walking by the park. We weren't even going to hang out there. We were going to get this thing called Burger West. That was the best little burger spot in town. And anyways, we stopped at the park and started playing in the merry-go-round, and it was all muddy around it. And we're boys, so we all picked up globs of mud and just started hucking it at each other. And our moms were yelling at us to get us to stop. And then their spirit just died and they gave up. So we sat there for an hour and just hucked mud at each other. And we walked home after that, and everybody was just caked. We had to hose off outside. It was that was the best little mud war I think I've ever had.
Oh, that's awesome. That's definitely pretty funny, man. And yeah, you mentioned too, you like music and stuff too. Who's maybe some of your favorite artists you like to listen to?
My favorite all-time artist I think is probably, I'm a big rap guy. So Tech Nine's probably my favorite all-time.
Nice.
I even have a quote tattooed on my bicep here that says it's a never slide, never fall, never fail. That's more of like it's a mindset thing more so than an outcome thing, I think, for me, because I've had outcomes where I came up short, but I refuse to let that hold me down. Know what I mean? So, anyways, yeah, I think Tech Nine's he's definitely up there. Also, on his music label, he's got an artist, King ISO, who's like a lot like him. But anyways, I was posting some music about him one day, and he started following me on Instagram and DMing me because they were coming through Vegas, and I actually got to go do a pad session for him at one of the gyms here, Kilo Club, and I got to know him, and I still talk to him and keep in touch with him on a regular basis, and that's kind of surreal for me because he's one of the best artists out there, I think.
Yeah. So what was it kind of like to train with him for the day?
Oh man, I feel bad because I train most people when I train them through like I train them as a fighter. So like we go through like it'll be like an hour and a half session or so, and we'll work. And like I was just teaching him some things and how us working, and we spent like 2 hours. And he was just kind of trying to take things in because he's kind of into MMA a little bit.
Right.
And and then before I knew it, the 2 hours was up, and I was like, oh man, he's probably so tired. Like this is not like a regular person thing. Like I'm sitting out here, we're just cracking left hooks and working kicks and stuff. And then I told anyways, he left, and I sat there and I looked over at my fiance and I was like, that was nuts. And she goes, that was crazy. Yeah, I don't know. That was really cool.
No, that's awesome, man. So if we're doing like a private session together, talk to us a little bit more about kind of like what you would kind of do for maybe like a beginner and stuff.
So beginner, I try to keep my sessions structured because I train people in my free time here, but I try to keep my sessions structured like we'll do, I don't know, 10 minutes of warm up or so roughly, and then we'll do 20 minutes of like some footwork and some conceptual drilling, and then we do some technique drilling. So we're working on like left hooks or right kicks or whatever it may be, just making sure that stuff's refined. And then we get roughly 10 to 15 minutes of like I call them play rounds, but that's our work round, and we'll just sit there and crack pads and kind of work the technique into some live situational drilling in one way or another.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, when it comes to like coaching and stuff too, when you're doing these private sessions, have you ever considered doing them online as well too?
I have. I'm uncertain of how I want to do them. I'm looking at like branching into that right now. Um, so I actually have an app that I started. It's called React Workouts, and with that, it's not personalized per individual, but I put out like daily workouts throughout the weekday, and then a specialty workout based on one fighter's performance. Like this week, I'm doing Rod Tang's performance that he fought last week on one. Um, and so what it is essentially, it's a timer app, and it'll give you random action call outs throughout that round. So like, for instance, the round starts and you'll hear it say 2-3 and just ripping a 2-3.
Awesome.
And how I came up with it was actually because of the Gutierrez fight, because I was like, man, I just need a way that I can work on checking kicks without like by myself or something. So I came up with that. And then, yeah, this timer has a ding setting on it that'll randomly pop off for the round. And every time that goes off, I try to check a kick. So
That's awesome.
that's how I came up with the idea. And I got that. It's on Android and iOS right now. I'm trying to figure out a way that I can send people individual workouts so that I can sell and structure some things on my website. So
That would be cool.
We'll see.
Yeah. So I guess too another idea too is would you consider maybe doing like maybe like a reel or something if you like teaching or like maybe a fast like maybe I don't know like a quick kickboxing combo and then post it like on Instagram or something.
Yeah. So I do that with React Workouts. I started Instagram. I always tag myself in that one too, and it's got that concept going on, and then it tells people to go check out the app so that they can get it worked like that. But I'm also gonna do like some technique breakdowns on Instagram subscriptions. So like that last fight, I finished the Darce choke. That's one of the 10 ways that I set that up, was essentially faking a Peruvian going into it. And I'm gonna start posting some stuff like that on there so that people can get a little more insight on like my techniques.
Awesome. And yeah, the Darce is one of my favorite chokes to watch. And with that being said, with you training and stuff, what was maybe one of your hardest techniques to kind of master when it comes to jujitsu?
When it comes to jiu-jitsu, let me see. I'm still really bad at the triangle. My knees and hips just don't bend very good like that. I still wouldn't even call that mastered. I get triangles more than I get them. Definitely my jiu-jitsu game though, it's all held up by front headlock stuff. I'll go front headlock. I'll go 2 front headlock from mount. I'll take it from the back. I got all kinds of. I'll take it from bottom turtle. I'll end up in front headlock somehow. Like that's my favorite. That's my favorite position. So I'm always. I got 10 ways to Sunday to get there, and then 10 other submissions that I pull off there. I even came up with a new one that I was hoping to hit in the fight so I can coin it in the post fight, but I didn't end up going for it. But one of these times I'm going to. So when you see this new submission, that's the one I'm talking about.
All right. I like it. Yeah, it's funny you said the triangle because I asked one other grappler I had on the show that same question, and he said the triangle as well too, and same thing for the knee. So it's funny that you guys each kind of have the same problem when it comes to that submission as well too.
Yeah, I got no PCL in one of my knees, so I think it like I don't know, just I can't bend very good sometimes.
Yeah, fair enough. And with that being said, what's maybe one of your worst injuries that you sustained from fighting?
Oh, dude, a month and a half or so after I fought Gutierrez, they think the PTs over at the Performance Institute thought I came back to training too soon because I was back to training and then I was shadow boxing one day, just warming up, and I thought somebody kicked my leg out and I fell out and hit the ground. And I went to stand up and it felt like my right leg was on like a waterbed. Like I had no stability there. And I was like, what the hell just happened here? And yeah, come to find out I tore my Achilles shadow boxing.
Oh my gosh. Jeez.
Yeah, that was brutal. That put me out for, man, it was almost a year before I had another fight. But that was probably one of the hardest things injury wise that I had to go through.
Wow. That was at the UFC PI, you said?
Well, they were taking care of me at the UFC PI with my rehab and stuff like that. But that was actually I was training with my cousin Ricky at Team Oyama's in California.
Gotcha, gotcha. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So with the UFC PI, I mean, have you happened to like be there? And with you being at the UFC PI, if you were there, what was maybe some of the coolest things that they had there?
Oh man, that was a I spent I was there every day of the week when I was in the UFC. Maybe I got babied too much over there. They like because they literally they got nutritionists there, so they'll tell us how our body's doing. They'll feed us there. Um they got physical therapists that are amazing. They do a great job there. I still because I go there with some fighters every now and then, and they all remember me. They're always saying hi, asking me when I'm getting back. I'm like, you tell me, dude. But
Yeah.
anyway, uh, then they got strength and conditioning there, and they got a mat room, they got a bag room, they got 2 cages upstairs. They got literally everything. It's like a little haven if you're an MMA fighter. Like they just have everything you need. I can't wait till I start using that stuff again.
Yeah, no, we're looking forward to it, man. And another thing too, I mentioned I'm a Taekwondo instructor. I've been teaching for 6 years, training for 19 years, and I'm only 24 years old. So I just kind of love martial arts and love what
Wow.
I do. And yeah, man. With that being said, with all the guys I have at my gym, what advice you give them to keep on coming into the gym and to keep on getting better and better every day?
Man, well, first of all, kudos to you. That's a long time to be training something at a young
Yeah,
age.
starting when I was
I didn't
5 years
even, dude, I didn't even get into MMA until I was 24. So that's nuts.
old.
Good
Oh,
on you. That's sick. Yeah, I think from my experience, the one thing that can get in people's way is kind of themselves and a bit of oh, I already know this or whatever, because for whatever reason, we all do that at one point or another. So the more that somebody can remain open to receiving information, even if it's information that they think they already know, that's kind of a new way to think about it if somebody else is giving it to you. So no matter what, the more we can continue down that path of growth and try to learn something somewhere, the better off we're going to be. I think most people, they set up little roadblocks for themselves, and that's, if we can be self-aware enough to work through those or work around those roadblocks, then really there's nothing stopping us from becoming who we really can be in terms of martial arts.
absolutely. No, I definitely think that's a solid message, Vince. And Vince, with that being said, man, I mean, what's maybe your final message out there for the fans watching this video?
Man, tune in, go watch that Tough Enough fight. Hit me up on Instagram. Let me know what you think about it. Um, check out React workouts. Get in shape. Let's play with some stuff. Maybe you can give me some Taekwondo techniques or something that I can throw in there. But
Let's go.
anyways, yeah. Hopefully you guys see me on the big show again soon. If not, there's plenty of other places that I'm still looking at taking advantage of. The number one bantamweight in the country is not in a big show, so somebody's gonna pick me up, I feel like.
Oh yeah, yeah, they're gonna pick you up for sure. And like I said, hopefully it's UFC, man, because like I said, you're one of the easily top 5 guys in your division that hasn't been signed yet. So we're looking forward to what's next with you. And thank you again for taking the time, man. It was awesome talking to you. And look forward to what's next, my man.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate your time as well. Thank you much.